Good evening, everybody. If you were hoping for the sports arena, that is not happening tonight. As I posted earlier today on social media, the sports arena will be back on Monday. This is my show. This is an opportunity to have a conversation that has been going on for the last several weeks, and a conversation that needs to continually be going on. I have asked a bunch of people to join me. Before we get started, let me just be very clear about something so that everyone is understanding of what is going on. Before I get to that, please allow me to put the caveat out so that everybody knows.
This program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
With that being said, I've got a lot of people wait to give me their thought and opinion on the bullshit that has happened, not only in Buffalo, New York, but also in Uvalde, Texas. We have seen 27 lives lost. And there might be more. What I don't understand, and perhaps someone waiting in the wings can help me and talk to me about this tonight, is how do I put this? Even sitting here tonight, I'm still trying to find the right words to really have this conversation. And you know what? Let me just get the people in here, because maybe they can help me out. So, some of the crew. I've got my man Mike Caratunuto. I've got my man John Shannon with me. Ray Lynn is not here tonight. Shout out to our Queen of Hoops. It is her birthday. Happy birthday, Megan. This guy from Sideline Sports, JB Ellis. Got our girl Jen Lewis in here. Will Vogel's in the building. And then I got two gentlemen who I know, situations like this come around, I know they definitely gonna say something. I got my man Jarrell Heslop, the future Dr. Jarrell Heslop, in the building. And my brother, who I've known for many years, who is probably one of the most opinionated people in the world, but when he spits knowledge and facts, I can't ignore it. It's my man Johnny. And then last but not least, as much as I give this man hell, he is truly a brother of mine, and that is my man Dom DeRubis. So first, before I go any further, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. This is not the kind of conversation that I wanted to have, but it is a conversation that is needed. And I just want to take that moment and say I love y'all and thank you. Now, I'm not going to keep everybody on the screen here. So I am going to just move some pieces around here. But Jen, JB, and Johnny, hang out with me for a minute, because I want to talk to the three of y'all. Everybody else, just, don't go nowhere. Trust me, I'll be back to you. Jen, I don't know what to say except women have been a minority for so long. I have seen so much in my 45 and a half years that it sometimes becomes numb to me. When all of this is unfolded, talk to me, please, Jen. Number one, how are you feeling? And number two, just what's on your mind right now?
I have a lot of thoughts on my mind right now. My first and foremost is the schools did away with a program called peer mediation. They had it when I was in school. We're about the same age, Eric. So I assume you may have heard of it as well, or may have been around when you were in school. But it was for, kids to help each other out. And it was a program. It was a legit program, at least in Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. They did away with that. I can't help but feel if that was still around, it would prevent bullying. It would help prevent a lot of what's going on with these guys, two 18-year-old boys let's face facts. If I can be your mom, you're a freaking boy. Okay, you're a child to me. And I feel really bad for minority women, especially Black women, to be perfectly candid with you. Because, yeah, women are getting screwed. We've always gotten screwed. Betty White said it best. I won't say it right now, but she really did say it best. And I've always felt worse for Black women because I feel like they've gotten worse than white women have. And that's not fair. I mean, I may be wrong on that. I don't know. But those babies did nothing wrong. Those people at work in Buffalo did nothing wrong. It was their religion. It was their culture, the skin color. That's it. There's no reason. I've been searching for 2 days why the shooting in Texas happened. Nobody has a reason except mental health. Well, you know what? Let's stop making fun of Michael Jordan and Will Smith and every other man out there. And let's, men and women, we all need somebody to fucking talk to. It doesn't make you a bitch. It really doesn't. We all need a friend. We all need somebody to talk to. There was a mass shooting in California that was prevented today. Did y'all know that? Because the man was fired. He had a friend still at the office. He goes, you should go home sick. And sent them a text message picture of all the guns they were bringing in. That friend saved countless lives. There was a grandma in Washington State who turned in her own grandson a couple of years ago. She prevented a mass school shooting. What my husband told me earlier, there have been 212 mass shootings in the United States of America thus far this year. May I tell you, that's more than there have been days in the calendar year.
Yeah.
So my point, gun control is not going to happen. My friends who have guns, they're all for tighter regulations, deeper background checks, but change the damn age. An 18-year-old doesn't need a fucking AR. You just don't.
You're right. Listen, it's something that, unfortunately, the laws in this government, in this country, need to be addressed. And we can sit here and talk about them until the days are long. And I'm going to flip it over to Johnny because, my brother, I listen to you and I hear you. A lot of knowledge that you drop. Some people don't want to hear it. I am not one of those people.
Well, that's true. I think first and foremost, everybody is missing the bigger picture. Like, why can't we all come together and say mass shootings are bad? Doesn't matter if it's Texas, Buffalo, the subway shooting that happened 3 weeks earlier, Waukesha, none of it. But nobody hears that. They hear only what they want. Why is it? And maybe somebody can explain this to me because of the fact like that. Maybe I'm blinded by my own whiteness. When Buffalo happened, I could go to 5 news sites, and within the first paragraph, I knew the age, the skin color of this kid, and I knew everything that this person was about. Yesterday in Texas, I went to 5 major news outlets, from CNN to MSNBC, Hee-Haw, to all of it. And all I heard was a young kid. They didn't mention name. They didn't mention anything. Have we really became that sick as a country to where the media finds it necessary to propagate certain narratives? Like, why won't they just let us be like, you know what? If you're a mass shooter, I don't care who you are, what color you are, where you come from. If you're a mass shooter and you're killing people, lights out. Lights out. Bye. Sorry. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. Bullying, that is a completely different issue for one reason. The people who are anti-bullying end up bullying. The people who display and talk and scream about tolerance is the first one to display intolerance to the next individual. Everybody's all fine and dandy. But what I won't stand for, and I'll speak up every time, and you're getting the first words of me coming from this, I'll be damned if I let anybody stand on the graves of dead children to push gun reform. That's disgusting. That's gross. I've got 3 guns at my house. I'll give them to whoever can give me a policy that can A, be implemented, and B, will stop mass shootings. Gun reform is like guns on a house. It only keeps the honest people honest. That's the sad, unfortunate truth. It sucks. It's
That's true.
horrible.
No,
It's sad.
Listen, I get it. I believe me. This is something that what hurts me to my core is what happened in Buffalo. I recognized because the 10 people that tragically lost their lives. Number one, I looked like them. Number two, I learned from them. And number three, they were the elderly. They had wisdom. They had knowledge.
I agree. That's a bad kid who did that. As far as I'm concerned, he needs to be held accountable. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know how he made it out of there. I don't know how anybody before that in the past 4 that's happened have made it out alive. I'll be perfectly honest, that they don't really deserve to. As far as I'm concerned, that freaking kid in Buffalo, he gets what he gets.
Right.
Lights out, man.
Right.
Like,
let me go ahead and get
deserves
JB.
it.
You're right. Let me go ahead and get JB in here really quick to talk about this. Johnny, stick around for a moment. I'm going to bring y'all back. JB, my brother, you and I have been on a journey over the last 2 years. And clearly, as people can see on this screen, you and I do not look alike, but we share a common goal. We share a common bond, and we've got love and respect for each other. So talk to me from your position, because I need to know how you're feeling when stuff like this happens, knowing the trajectory that 2 men who honor and respect each other, who are on the same page, who don't look like each other, but yet we still feel the same.
It's wild to think because, I speak with Jay about it all the time. Listen, we're different, obviously. We don't look alike, but we're still people. I guarantee you, if you get cut and I get cut, it's red-blooded. There ain't no difference. So I don't get that whole thing. The problem with a lot of this, white nationalism and racism, that part of it, is people that don't go out and experience other cultures. Being in New York, I grew up in probably the most diverse neighborhood in Brooklyn. So I was surrounded by people of all races, all religions. So I got to experience it all. So for me, it's not something abnormal to see something that's different. And you learn to, it's kind of cool to see all the different things, the different traditions, the different customs. I may not enjoy them all, but it's great to see and respect other people. It makes you a better person when you can see people or respect what they do. Doesn't mean you have to do it. I don't follow other customs from other religions against my religion, but that doesn't mean I don't respect it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what somebody else believes, but people are just so hung up. They don't see the world. They see their little area, and it's like, no, that's it. That's the only way it is. They never go outside of their box, and you'll never learn to appreciate all the different things that are out there, all the different cultures, the different races. Because when it all boils down, we're all people. We all kind of want the same things in life. We all want to grow old and prosper and have a family, and be happy. May have different ideas of what happiness is. Even just look, what we have with Sideline Sports. We have different ideas of what we want to do, but yet we have common goals. It's the same thing with people. We all kind of want the same thing out of life. We all want to grow old and be happy. What your idea of happiness may be different, but just got to go out and experience cultures. It's just horrible to take somebody's life because of their race. That's inexcusable. It boils down to there's too many issues with society for that to happen at this point. We should be past that. And
Well,
then
that's the unfortunate thing, JB. We're not, and like I said, hang around. I'm gonna get you back here to finish that thought. But that's the unfortunate thing. The unfortunate thing is we live in 2022, and this is happening, and it's the fact that it's happening. And I hate using this term, but the fact that this is happening on a regular basis and nothing is being done about it. That is the part that angers and infuriates and just pisses me the hell off. It's like, what more do you need to do? What more do you need to see in order to truly understand that change needs to happen? Let me get Will, let me get Dom, and let me get Jarrell in here, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Jarrell. I know you're limited on time, my brother, so I'll let you speak first about everything. And I do want to talk to you because we haven't spoken a moment. I'm glad to see that you are doing well. But this has happened. And Jarrell, I'll speak to you brother to brother. What happened in Buffalo, those are our aunties and our uncles. Those are our grandma and granddaddies. You know what I'm saying? Those are our brothers and sisters who tragically died simply because they looked like you and me.
Yes. And you know what, Eric, I'm going to try to, I mean, there's so many thoughts going through my mind. I'm going to try to sum it up as quick as possible. I appreciate everyone's views that just spoke because they are dead on. But I do have a different opinion about certain things. Let's keep it clear. We have so many issues in America, and we have two clear cases of different crises we have going on. White supremacy, copycats, and people trying to, make a name for themselves or fit in for a group and killing innocent people because of their skin tone. And then on the other hand, we have people with mental disabilities or emotional breakdowns that are killing innocent kids. Now, Jean just spoke on it, and I appreciate her because she's another educator just like myself, where today I had to go into a school and talk to young kids and educate them on things they probably aren't even thinking about. When you go into a school system, the main focus as an educator is to protect these young kids. I know these parents didn't think in the wildest dreams that they'd be dropping off their kids in a safe environment and they wouldn't be able to pick them up. The reality is, I don't know if y'all understand it, we have a lot of educators that right now that are in turmoil. They are scared. You know why they're scared, Eric? Because these same teachers, I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where we get a lot of imported people from here in Fort Bragg. They've been through Columbine. They've been through Sandy Grove. I'm talking about personally. I've seen 3 teachers break down today because they've experienced this over and over again. You know what I mean?
I do.
We need to get to a place where I just heard my man talk, I forgot his name, but there does need to be some kind of gun reform. There has to be. Not saying take it away from everyone, but it has to be stronger restrictions and who we're getting these guns to, because we're seeing constant cases of these copycat people that have these mental breakdowns that are young, that are causing the same type of issue. Not saying that everyone should not have a gun to protect their homes, but who are we giving these guns to and who we be giving access to? We have to make some kind of change, man. And my other thought is, as an educator, we talk sports all the time, man. We talk salary cap. We talk about, all these big deals, paying all these athletes for putting their bodies on the line. We have to protect these teachers more. We have to. We just gave, I made a joke, saying I want that same energy of that 40 billion to go to the school system. We need more protection. There's no reason that this guy was sitting outside of school for an hour and no SSR officer, the cops, enough reinforcement wasn't there to protect these young babies. It's ridiculous, it's sickening, and it's becoming to a point where we're becoming numb to all of these shootings, man.
Yeah. Jarrell, I appreciate you, man. Hey, Dom, Will, give me a minute because this brother has reached out to me. He just wants to speak really quick for 2 minutes. I appreciate him coming in to the fold. So, Denzel, I'm going to give you the floor, my brother.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Y'all know I'm kind of fighting a sickness right now, so please excuse me, but I just want to come on here and say this. Is that one factor that is not being talked about as to what's being pushed is propaganda. And I'm going to take you back on a quick history lesson. Back in the 1980s, the fairness doctrine was taken away. What that basically means was it gave outlets the ability to push whatever narrative that they can. This is why you have the Fox Newses out there, the One American News Networks, the Newsmax, and all of them. And that is a huge part of the problem, is when you have outlets like this, and you can take this back to World War II, Nazi Germany, everything. When you have outlets like this that influence a number of people, you have things like this that continue to happen. You have mass shootings, you have white supremacy, you have racism. Something also has to be done. I know we've been talking about like gun reform and the whole racist narrative. Yes, of course, but something has to be done with these platforms as well. These ones that are pushing these narratives out there that are killing us, that are killing everybody, So with that being said, and I'm going to be only about 20 more seconds, something has to be done to take away these things, because they will push it as it's freedom of speech. But what they don't realize, actually they do realize that they know better, is that they are insinuating violence against people who look like me, against people who look like Eric, against people of color, even against white people who support our rights. You know what I mean? So with that being said, there needs to be enough of an outcry for these media outlets who push this narrative. That's all I got to say, man. Thanks.
Hey, my brother, get well, and I'll holler at you soon. Let me get Will and Dom back in here, because I definitely want to talk to you guys about this, because, to Denzel's point, both of you gentlemen are allies. Both of you gentlemen don't care what we all look like. We're all for the same goal. We're all for helping each other and all working together. So, Will, I just want to know, my man, how are you? And just talk to me about, what's going on in your mind.
Jen Jen stated it correctly. It's bullshit. It's horseshit. It's shit in general. It's devastating. I definitely feel for the people in Buffalo and Texas. Again, the guy in Buffalo is a white supremacist, and he streamed it on a platform. What kind of sick animal are you? That is just disgusting and vile and disturbing. And he also, in 2021, got investigated for threatening schools at his high school. So this guy is notorious for starting shit up. In Texas, this guy supposedly, before he did the killings, made a message online saying he shot his grandma, then he was going to kill a woman, and then he was going to kill the kids. And the sad thing is, this is the deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook Elementary. And that just sickens me, because what everyone said, what you said, what Jarrell said, what JB said, what Jen said, what everyone has said so far is exactly correct. We shouldn't be selling these kids guns. We need to raise the age limit of buying legal weapons. You need to have a reason. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to buy a gun. What are you going to do with it? You need a reason. You can't just say, I'm just going to do it for fun and then just kill people. No, it's insufferable. It's immature. It's despicable, disgusting, distasteful. It's just so many words. There's so many words I could say. It would take up a whole hour of how much hatred I have built up. Like you said, you have built up anger, Eric. I'm feeling that fire inside me too. I feel that fire in hatred and just anger with these two 18-year-old gentlemen who are 9 years younger than me. And I work with kids who are 18, and it just sickens me thinking a kid who's 18, 9 years younger than me, buying a gun and doing these crimes is senseless. And pardon my language, but I can't fucking take it.
I understand. I hear you. Dom, my brother, you're in Detroit, so I know you've seen a lot, and I know you've probably experienced a lot in your short life on this earth. But brother, this has to hit us in a different light. So I'm going to ask you, as someone who, you are very well versed, I'm going to just say, in the streets. You know life. You've had experiences. how do we begin to see some type of change? How do we start healing?
As far as change goes, I'm not really sure. I mean, the thing that sticks out in my mind with, I mean, I won't even say gentleman because clearly he's not the individual in Texas. He went out and bought that gun like what, the day after his 18th birthday. The fact that you can go out and purchase a weapon, a gun, a firearm 3 years before you can go and purchase alcohol. Like, you know, you can have a few too many beers and do something stupid and someone can end up getting hurt. You could hurt yourself, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that you can go out and buy a gun before you can purchase alcohol, like which one is more dangerous? A gun, like let's just call it what it is. A gun is an instrument of harm and death. Guns are meant for killing people. And that's what this kid did. And, you know, he shot his grandmother in the face, stole her car, and then drove to an elementary school. I mean, clearly there's no excuse whatsoever under the sun, but it's not like he went to his high school and started shooting at people that bullied him. These were children, 10, 11-year-old kids, and you know, they're teachers, and when things like this happen, like it makes me ashamed of my race in general, because it's bad apples. And like, I don't even matter in this, but it makes people like me that don't do these type of things, it makes me look bad. And, you know, like you said, I'm well versed in the streets, and I don't know. I'm at a loss. I don't know how we fix it. I don't know how it gets any better, because literally, I mean, this is 2 shootings in less than a week. And like Jen said, more shootings than there have been days in the calendar. And it's not about, and one of the major problems with this is what's going to get lost in the shuffle with this whole thing. Most of and you know, I don't like to be like extremist about it, but you know, the gun nuts, it's just going to cause a greater divide between the gun nuts and the people that want gun control. And I don't know what the solution is. It just keeps happening, and it just keeps getting worse. And I'm sad and I'm angry. And you know,
as well, listen, as well you should be, and we all are. Listen, there's we all are. You know, because this is just, it's senseless, is what it is. So, you know, Johnny, let me get you back in here, man, because
I'm
just,
pissed.
I know you are. I know you are.
And please, sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, I was just going to say to you, you know, you and I have had plenty of conversations just about life, just about human decency.
Right.
And when it's not being shown, and we're seeing this shit just fall apart.
Correct.
And it's like I said, and I hate using this phrase, it's becoming a norm. Like, what the hell? What else needs to be done? I mean, I just, what infuriates me the most is, I understand and I recognize that everyone has a demon that they're dealing with in one shape, form, fashion. We all got them. If you don't, you're lying to yourself. Okay? We all got demons. But there are so many resources that individuals can go to, phone numbers they can call, anonymous avenues, but they still choose this.
It's the human. It is that the human brain, you can't pinpoint this to anybody. And you can't, I mean, when I was growing up, when Columbine hit and then Aurora hit and so on and so forth, like, I got the whole, hey, be careful what you wear going into the, going into the convenience store. There's a reason why I got followed when I was at the Newtown corner store when I was growing up because I was that kid. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold looked like me. I was wearing, freaking long sleeve black shirts and Jinko jeans and being told, oh, well, go slit your wrists. I've been there. I feel everybody's freaking pain. But if the last umpteen years has taught everybody anything, it's that this isn't a solely white issue. This is a person issue. You can't blame the president. I damn sure don't blame Joe Biden for what happened. Just like I didn't blame Trump when that nonsense happened. I didn't blame Obama when Dallas and Baltimore happened, and I don't blame Bernie Sanders for the congressional baseball cheating. Anybody who says those type of things, that there are people in the office and there are people in the main powers, that who want the power of what? That the NRA is nowhere near what it is at its lowest form. Change is going to start right here on the street. It's going to start by having these conversations. They're just puppets. How is it that everybody watching probably heard the same thing that I did growing up? Don't believe the media. Don't believe what you hear. Don't believe all of this. And we're going against everything that we were told. We're buying into it. And then we're being told if we disagree with it, if we disagree with gun reform, if we disagree with gun control, it's because we don't care about children dying. How is that any better? I don't know a single person who's like, you know what? I'm glad the kids are gone. Because nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying, I'm glad what happened in Buffalo. That person is despicable. I'm not ashamed of who I am because I know deep down that if I can't do anything else, if everything I ever say moving forward falls completely on deaf ears, how I treat the next person. I'm going to look at Eric Wilson as a man. I'm not going to look at Eric Wilson as a black man. I'm going to look at him as a man, and I'm going to treat him with respect as a man. And in return, I'm hoping that I'll get the same respect. And lo and behold, I have, and I believe that I always will.
Of
but
course. Listen, that goes both ways.
Of course.
From day one,
sure.
People always, there's this preconceived notion that people, because we don't look alike or share the same ideology, or because we have different beliefs, that we can't respect each other. See, that to me is the problem.
Facts.
It's the problem of you have to find something wrong with someone first,
right,
before you can find what's right about them. And listen,
so ass backwards.
I'll be the first one to admit, for a part of my life, that is how I felt. I was like, I want to find out what's wrong with you first before I decide whether I want to talk to you or whether I want to be around you or whether I want to associate or affiliate myself with you. And my mind changed to where it's like, let me get to know the person before I cast judgment on an individual.
I'm getting ready to. Oh yeah, like that. I just had a similar conversation with one of my new co-hosts for this new podcast I'm starting up next week. And this man's telling me that every time he goes out into public, like he's got white folks clutching their purse because they don't know what he's going to do. And I'm like, I think I don't want that. I don't want anybody to be walking around in fear. I don't want white folks having to clutch their purse as if they're going to get freaking mugged. First of all, who the fuck still mugs anybody? First and foremost, lie. Nobody does that. And second of all, like, I don't want to be labeled as a white supremacist just because I wear a chain out of my freaking wallet and have a bandana around my arm if I go and check out a freaking protest in downtown Sarasota just because I've never seen one. And the first thing I get called is a Proud Boy. Why? Because I'm white? Why? Like that's crazy to me because, like, if we can't start finding common ground in anything, like, I don't care where somebody came from. If I'm meeting them for the first time, everybody gets a clean slate. If you a bad person, I'm going to see that because your actions will tell me. Individual, not groups. That's huge.
Let me get him. Jarrell, I got you back in here, brother. Go ahead.
Hey, Johnny, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, what's going on?
I'm doing good. I had a question
Sure.
for you, man, because I did see your viewpoint and you expressed it. So my question is I just want to see because we have, opposing views on certain things, especially with gun laws and reform. But
Sure.
understanding that no politician can be held accountable for what these maniacs and cowards did, right?
Right.
Like you said, we understand that these politicians are puppets, that
Right.
they are supported by NRA, right? They are getting these backings and money, and then in the flip side, they have to keep pushing these so these people can sell these guns. Now, understanding that, you don't feel that these politicians have any kind of accountability in saying, okay, we could have changed changed these rules or came to a common ground and put our feelings aside because these things keep happening. Like you said, we're about the same age. Columbine has been a long time from ago. And we've had so many school shootings since then. I can't count. But
yeah.
all of them have similar patterns of what these maniacs have been mental problems, of white supremacy. Not to be funny, I don't know too many black people that have went out on mass shootings. These are patterns that we're seeing. But we fail to pass laws because of who we're backed or who these politicians are backed by. I just want to know your view on that and what you thought about that, because I feel like we can't account these politicians for people's actions,
Sure.
but they have something on their hands because of agendas, like my man said, that is going on.
I feel that we either have it one way or we have it another. If no politician can be held accountable, then none of them can. If we're going to blame, Trump, then let's blame Biden. Let's blame Bernie Sanders. Let's blame all the other cats because everybody got their demons. And you're right. At one point in time, that the NRA was the most sought after, lucrative endorsement for any candidate going on the planet. Like they were right up there with the Koch brothers. But now, due to legal scandals and change of management and problems and things of that nature, like that, they're just not as popular. And everybody's getting pressured so hard not to take their money, so they just assume just like wash their hands. Like, at what point in time do we start sticking the problem where it belongs, at the shooter's feet first?
And I'm with you on that. But my last question,
Sure.
I think we come to agreement that you don't want to be labeled as a white supremacy or someone that's mentally unstable just because I agree with you. I would love to maintain my gun as well to protect my family, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
don't you agree that it should be stricter laws so we can keep the sane with these,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so in some form or some sense, you do believe there should be some kind of reform in the law then, right?
I believe that people should enforce the laws that are on the books. New York had some of the strictest gun laws in the country. Same with Chicago. And yet nonsense seems to happen. Like, New York is ridiculously strict. And this freaking Yahoo, this pathetic person who's not even good enough to get on the bottom of my shoe and get down even lower than that, he managed to get his hands on a gun. Like, if people want to do away with the private trade show things, absolutely. Yes, fine. Go for it. I know, like in Florida, at least, I can't own a gun outright without jumping through a bunch of hoops, because at one point in time I was prescribed Xanax, and that comes up like on the questionnaire. Now, of course, that they're going to be idiots, who sit there and lie because they got low morals and no self-esteem and have no self-dignity. That's fine. But hell, that there was a shooting or somebody brought a gun to the Palmetto High School football game, and that gun had four bodies on that. Like, how are people not looking at this from a greater perspective and saying, okay, if stricter gun laws don't help and people are going to get them if they want them, what point in time do we say, if the government ain't going to do it, we going to do it? We're going to start.
Yeah, and I don't want to say unfortunately, because I really feel like that's where we're getting at. That's where we are, I think, as a country, as a society, as a
Sure.
people. I feel we are getting to that point. Like, listen, we have put you in these positions of power to ensure that our rights are there, that we have the freedom
Right.
to live amongst everybody,
Kick them all out.
have common sense, respect each other. That's the bare minimum. But
Yeah.
those in government, have not lived up to the expectations that we have put before them or the oath that they have sworn to take. So now it's like, okay, if y'all ain't gonna handle it, even though we gave y'all the opportunity to do so, well then damn it, it's the old saying, if you want something done right, damn it, you're gonna do it yourself. So gentlemen, I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate, let me get
Terrell,
the
thanks,
majority
bro.
of
Hey man, thank you. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your views as well, man. Nice to meet
No,
you.
same to
Hold
you.
on. Before y'all get out of here, let me just say thank you to everybody that's on this panel right here. I appreciate y'all taking the time to hang out with me for a little bit. But I am going to talk to Mike and John for the rest of the night, the three of us, because we've got just a lot of stuff that we are going to discuss. But for JB, for Jen, Johnny, Jarrell, Will, and Dom, I love all of y'all. Thank you so much for taking time to
Thank you.
be here tonight.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
of
Thanks a
course.
We
lot.
love you, Eric.
Hey, Eric, can I say
Yes,
one
we
more
love you,
thing?
Eric.
And I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. I think this is
No, you're
pertinent.
fine.
My mom is still a substitute teacher, and she's been an educator her entire life. She comes from a family of educators, and she teaches at one of the better high schools. She substitutes at one of the better high schools in town, but it also has a large, diverse population. A lot of the kids nowadays aren't made to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. And one of her ESL kids spoke up one day and said, you know what? As many problems as we have, as many issues as the United States has, look at the borders. People are still dying, literally dying to get into this country. So as many problems as we do have, we are really lucky to live here. We're lucky to have this arena to speak on and voice artist pleasures. And I just say, God bless all of us. And my heart hurts for these families, all of them.
Jen, you couldn't say it any better than I could.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will.
I appreciate y'all, and I'll definitely holler at y'all. Everybody, please stay safe, stay blessed. And again, I love y'all. Hey, everybody be
Love
good,
you
all
too,
right?
Eric. Love
a
you.
good night,
Eric,
guys.
love you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night, y'all.
Love y'all.
So I'm going to get my guys in here, the two guys who I know have been rocking with me since jump. And guys, thank you for hanging out. I know y'all have been in the back just chilling. But, we talk every Monday and Wednesday night. We give each other a bunch of shit. We go back and forth, but that's what we do. But this is more than that. And, having this conversation tonight, it pains me, man. Y'all know I'm not the individual who likes to have these types of conversations, but I'm the first one to have these conversations because they're necessary. So, John, man, I see your face, man. And you know what? I'm going to say this to you. June 8th can't come soon enough. You want to know why? Because not only do I get to meet and see you for the second time, but I get to be around your family. And I know you're hugging them a little tighter after everything that's went down. Talk to me, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a parent. I'm the only one on this panel that's a parent. So, so I like it hits me on a personal level there because you know what I mean. Like I can only imagine my 1.5-year-old, my 3.5-year-old going to school. You know what I mean, and just having to think about that. I mean, that's terrifying to have to think about. What like is that going to happen at where my kids go? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like no parent should ever have to think about that. I was thinking about something Johnny said, and he mentioned about how nobody says, "Yeah, I'm glad these kids are dead." Nobody says anything like that, and he's actually wrong. And I'll tell you why. If you read the comment section on some of these videos that these people post, these live videos that these gunmen post and that other people post, there's a lot of desensitized people out there that say exactly the opposite of what Johnny had mentioned about how, he said that there's nobody saying that they're glad the kids are dead. There's people on those comment sections, and I know they're vile, but there's people in those comment sections that are saying those things. And my point is, like, we're so desensitized as a society that this doesn't matter to us. Like, it matters to us here, but people in general, they don't care. They'll say they care, but they really don't. Let me give you an example. Remember a couple years ago when the Puerto Rico thing happened? I think it was Puerto Rico, and they lost all their power. And I was with two friends who were watching football, and I mentioned to them about that, and they were like, "What does that matter?" And I was like, "Well, that matters. Like, those are people that have no power in their in their country," and they're like, "Well, it doesn't affect us." Like, they're like, "We're still able to watch football." And like, to me, I told them, I was like, how can you say that? Just because it doesn't affect you directly doesn't mean that it shouldn't affect you. How can, and that's my point, is like, we're so desensitized to these things. We see a mass shooting and we're like, seen it before, and then we just continue about our day and we continue doing whatever we're going to do. And then the next one comes, and Eric, like you posted today about the cycle, I mean, that's very true. It's a cycle, and it keeps happening. And it's just so sick how we're so desensitized. And you can read these comment sections on any social media, and people say the worst things, and it's like how can you do that? I just don't understand. And I think that social media is one of the biggest X factors in these things happening, because, and the media, of course, but social media helps enable these people, the copycats. Like, everybody gets a voice, and then people like that, they want their clout because it's about clout. So you'll say and do the worst things you can possibly do so you can get clout. Even if it's bad publicity, you're still getting people that will follow you. They're still, white supremacists that are like, wow, this guy's really cool, let me go follow him. Like, those are real things. People actually do that. You see, like, people that are being racist on social media and that should lose their jobs, that have big jobs, and they keep them, and they still have 100,000 followers. They should have 0, but they still have 100,000 followers. You tell me how somebody can have racist tweets and things like that, and they still have 100,000 followers and have their job. That's like, there's problems, man.
I got you. And to what John was talking about, I'm just going to share this real quick. I posted this earlier today because I got it from somebody else. And this is the definition of insanity. It's continually doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And it's like, when are we going to break this cycle? When are we going to break the chain and really start to not only hold people accountable, but hold government, hold organizations? I was having a conversation with someone, and they were like, we should arm teachers, have police at schools. And I was like, I disagreed with having teachers be armed from the standpoint of a teacher having a firearm, a weapon, should be a last resort, because should that ever come to pass and a child sees that, the impact, the lasting impression that leaves on a child could have major.
Can I make a point on that, Eric?
Please.
Yeah, I mean, to your point with that is, what if, that teacher, you don't think, and you put the gun down on the desk just for a moment, you turn around to grab something, and then a student walks up and takes it. You know what I mean? Like, that's very possible. I thought that metal detectors, like, you can have metal detectors, all the entrances and things like that. That slows down somebody. They have to get through a metal detector. You have security guards there watching the metal detectors to make sure somebody doesn't get, you know what I mean? Like, if you got to get through a metal detector and you have a security guard there, it's going to be a lot harder. That'll slow you down. That's going to be a lot harder to get, and try and do what you're trying to do. But I do want to point out, and this is my point of what I said earlier about social media and copycats. And Jarrell did mention the copycat thing earlier as well. I mean, I read that this guy posted that a student was arrested at Berkner High School in Richardson, Texas today. There's an AK-47 and a replica AR-15 inside his vehicle. Like before he didn't get into the school, but somebody saw him walking down the street with a gun and they called the cops and they stopped him before he could get into the school. Like that, like, you know what I mean? Like you just saw two things and then people just are like, oh, wow, that's a good idea. Like, let me go and do that. Or people get these ideas. It's just insane how we have so many copycats. And like you guys mentioned earlier, the media just kind of like pushes this and then the wrong person sees it. And anyway,
Mike,
you haven't spoken yet, but I wanted to point that out.
My brother, I'm going to sit here and tell you I'm tired, man. These are not the conversations that you and I and John and everybody else who was on here tonight are having. We should be talking about the NBA playoffs. We should be talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. We should be talking about Major League Baseball. But we don't just talk about those things. We deal with life as it hits us. So, brother, I'm going to give it to you, man.
Well, I mean, my sister's a teacher. So talked about this last year, and a 10-year-old kid, I mean, I'm going to start this way. Like, I see what everybody's saying, and don't tell me the NRA is not. I mean, and Johnny, like you said, you've known Johnny forever, and he's very, I mean, in his points, but the NRA is giving millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. I mean, I Googled it right before we actually started tonight, Eric, and it was like they gave over, I think, 20 million in 2020. I mean, it's insane. But let's start the timeline backwards. All right. I want to, because it goes to media and freedom of speech, like John was saying, and what Denzel said. I mean, he listed a few. Eric, you know me, and I've said this for years. Like every single quote unquote news media outlet has an agenda, because they're all on. Whoever owns them is part of worthless political parties. Because you know how I feel about that. We don't need to get into that educational thing. All of them. I mean, you want to say Fox News, you want to say CNN, MSNBC, like everybody's got an agenda. They just want to rip the other party, basically. Well, it comes to guns is everybody starts hiding behind the Second Amendment, right? Cool. When was it written? I mean, I know a lot of people on this panel could answer that, pretty much everybody. 1791. I mean, yeah, you can Google it, you can look. And it was about protecting yourself from militias and governments. What was another thing people had to do back then, too? Kind of had to hunt for food because we didn't have grocery stores on every corner. Just going to throw that out there. Yes, and this is why I can't stand the gun people. I've told you this before, Eric. I know there's been amendments, addendums to the Second Amendment throughout time. But at the core of it, most people say, oh, Second Amendment so many people couldn't even tell you what it is. Then we go out through time we're like, man, how is it we don't have stricter gun things? In our lifetime, Eric, granted, we were very small. A president got shot. I mean, obviously Kennedy was assassinated. That wasn't our lifetime. Ronald Reagan got shot. And there was nothing from the Republicans about, oh, okay, we got to start nipping this in the bud now because it's just getting worse. But I want to focus on these kids, 10-year-old kids, 11-year-old kids, teachers hovering over them. Teachers. We're not talking about first responders. And again, I'm not saying teachers are weak people, Eric, but you get what I'm saying. We're not talking about people military trained, people police trained, like covering children who have no business. Like you said, go to school. I'm like, wow. Well, yeah, and I'm with you. If a teacher had a gun in the room, that would probably be even worse. And you hear every time, and your post, like seriously, like when I saw your post, and you've known me long enough, knowing it wasn't in like a cheery way, I was laughing at your post because I'm like, you could put this up. Jarrell said, you know how many shootings there were since Columbine. There's been over 240 school shootings since 1999. 240 copycats. I mean, Columbine, Aurora. I mean, I know Denver's had it bad. They had the kid a few years ago it was Sandy Hook. In Colorado. No, in Colorado. The movie theater. But he shot up the movie theater in Colorado again. And like people say, okay, well, we don't want gun reforms. And I know John doesn't know the story, but Eric, I told you this. Like there was a few years back, I was doing a radio show with one of my good friends, and he called me up before I left, said, do you have duct tape? I said, yes. I forgot it. I know. You're surprised, Eric. I forgot it. But where I was at, there was a Target 2 seconds away. I fly over to Target. I literally run inside. There's a worker standing right there. I'm like, hey, do you have duct tape? And I just said it kind of excited because I was running out of time. He's like, oh yeah, it's on. And I run. I'm not kidding you. I'm running in Target to get duct tape, pay for it frantically, and run out. When I got there and sat down, you know what my first thought was? Like, they probably called the cops on me. Who runs into a store? And a gun is so much worse. But you get my point. Like, I asked for duct tape and nobody batted an eye. But these kids is what I want to focus on. You get a 10-year-old kid shot by an 18-year-old. And this is what drives me nuts about, and I agree with Jarrell. I mean, I've always said there needs to be, people want to have guns, fine. We're to the point where you can't take them away. And I know I said to you years ago, if it was just military and police officers, we'd be able to find out who got guns illegally really fast. That being said, these little kids pay the price for it. If there's not something done, and I do like what Johnny said about not blaming any, sitting president, because obviously they're the head of the country, but they're not the ones that started all this. So they're going to get, the eyes are going to be on them. But these kids, these innocent kids at school going to, and they had that award ceremony, but these kids probably made kids that made the honor roll for their first time. If I have to wait, if you just apply for a passport normally, now probably after 9/11, it's even longer. But if we have to wait basically 6 weeks to get a passport, we can't wait. We can't do a full background check and wait 30 to 60 days. You want to buy a gun? Cool. 30 to 60 days. They do.
That's how long it takes. That's how long TSA takes you to get pre-checked.
Exactly. So, it's disgusting, and these kids are just the victims of this latest 18-year-old. And like I said, having a sister as a teacher, and you and I talked about this with George Floyd. And even Buffalo last week. Fast forward, that's a disgusting, heinous massacre that takes place. This is an equally disgusting and heinous massacre. And the thing that drives people nuts is because, like you said in your circle, the little shiny ball that everybody's going to say, mental health, mental health, mental health. Okay, geniuses. Well, let's think logically. So little kids don't have to get affected, because school shootings, like I said, we have educators that were on here. My sister's been a teacher for over 25 years, Eric. I couldn't imagine a kid getting, mad at her or mad at one of her coworkers coming in and just start shooting up a school. Right. It's got to stop. And it can be attacked with, again, stricter gun laws. You want to buy certain things, 30 to 60 days. Like you said, TSA check. It takes 6 weeks to get a passport. You can try and expedite it, but it's still at least 3.5.
You should also have to pass some sort of mental health test. You should.
Right, that's what the background check is for. That's what I'm saying. If you have to wait 30 to 60 days for a gun, every time somebody says a Second Amendment, I just cringe, because when I turn around and ask them, when was it written? It was to keep the government, basically have a militia, but to keep them out of your house, and obviously with British supporters that were still straggling around way back then. And I get it's a long time ago, and we've evolved, we have technology, but and somebody did bring up social media too, and I want to say this too, because he did post on Facebook that he was going to shoot his grandma. Then he posted he shot it. Now, you know me, Eric, I don't care about anybody's political affiliation. I think they're stupid anyway. We're people, serve each other, improve our lives, improve everybody's life, work for the general good. So Facebook will shut whoever from whatever, anyone, we're going to take them off for their political views. Kid says he shot someone. Did any of you hear once today that got taken down? Then he said
it shouldn't be taken down. Facebook should be able to flag that and then contact
the
police.
But that's my point. They didn't flag it. They didn't do anything. That's my point. Yeah. So it shouldn't stay up in print. They should flag it.
Right. Yeah. They should do something about it. Correct.
These kids suffer, and it's always going to be kids suffering. Every time there's a school shooting and any shooting, now's not the time for talk. And then of course mental health. I watched Governor Abbott's press conference today, and he did say some very poignant things, but then it always gets back to mental health. Well, if people have mental health issues, and then 60 days, that's it. But here's the thing. After the Lakeland, if in your neck of the woods, Eric, after the Florida shooting,
yep,
the governor, and I don't know if it was DeSantis at the time, it may have been, but I was so stoked that he did not go to that stupid town hall. And I only call it stupid, not because it wasn't, in support of kids that have gotten shot, but the NRA sent somebody there. There's other people there. He's like, no, I'm not going to go to this grandstanding thing. So if he was getting support from the NRA, he didn't go to it because maybe he wanted to ignore voters. But he, in his statement, which again, he's like, I'm not going to this grandstanding, because if the NRA says, oh, they're for reform and this and that, and people still have the right to bear arms, and they made it sound like this. I got an idea, NRA. Every single school in this country, because of the 200 and over 40 shootings that have happened in schools, killing kids. Like, nobody wants adults to die, but you see it, like John said, I mean, anybody has kids, any of my friends' kids, any of my cousins' kids, any little kid.
I'd rather you shoot me than shoot a little kid.
Yeah, a kid dies.
Please.
And you're just going to have a town hall. So I got an idea for the NRA. Like we're saying, cars coming in, metal detectors, every single school in the country, since you can donate hundreds of millions of dollars throughout the years to political parties. Go back from when they started doing it. If they did just $20 million in 2020 alone, or whatever it was, Eric, over 25 million, and all the money they put, you have that kind of money, you put 2 metal detectors, and there's only 2 in every single elementary school, middle school, and high school in the country, NRA, because innocent kids die.
And security guards.
And then the gun, and then like I think it was whoever said about the other side with the gun people on the other side, they're going to be like, oh, guns don't, we have the right, this and that. No one's saying you don't anymore. We're past, we've already lost that point, Eric. I mean, we're 240 years past it. So we've definitely lost out on that. Little kids don't have to die anymore. And people can say bad people do bad things. And if it is a mental health issue, then it shouldn't be that hard to pass 60 days. And I got to applaud Steve Kerr. Lastly, Eric, I just want to say this, because everybody, again, being in Arizona, knowing Steve Kerr's background, and Eric, I told you this before, people know his dad was assassinated in Beirut, was the president of the university over there, was teaching. And I was young, and obviously I hadn't gone to ASU yet, but there were students in the student section, because U of A was beating up on them, that were chanting at Steve Kerr when he was shooting free throws, "Where's your father?" I was disgusted. I mean, that was when I was a little kid. That was disgusting. But all these little kids, and I've seen their pictures pretty much all day today. A 10-year-old kid, thank you. And again, I'm not saying anything less of the teachers. Obviously, I know a lot was talked about.
No, I mean, that's heroic of the teachers to try and cover them up. Yeah.
Well, and some try to cover up. Some teachers, unfortunately, just got shot in the crossfire. These kids, and like we said, you go to school to think of the endless possibilities. These teachers are there. There's a shortage of teachers. Teachers are always underpaid, and we know that.
Yep.
These kids suffered this. And for the kids that didn't, for the kids that I shouldn't say didn't, because they all suffered, but for the kids that have to deal with this now going back to school, these kids are going to be scarred for the longest time. I'm not saying they're
they'll be scarred for life.
I'm not saying that they won't overcome it. But anybody that's ever seen an action as horrific as this, and it's not in a war, which no one obviously wants, in a war, these kids have to deal with this. And how many times, again, like we said from the beginning, these politicians, I'm sick of hearing, I'm sick of the circle, like you said, Eric, and I'm sick of hearing it's not the time to talk about it. If this bill can't get passed, like Steve Kerr said, 60 days, it should be a 60-day minimum to buy a gun. And I don't care how bad you think you need it. If you need it that bad, then there's a red flag.
Right. Gentlemen, I appreciate you. We're definitely going to talk after this, but I want to end this really quick, because I just got a text from a really good friend of ours, and I want to share this with everybody. And I think it's appropriate to close out tonight. Before I go, of course, I want to make sure that I show love to everybody. JB Ellis, Jennifer Matthew Lewis, Dom DeRubis, Will Vogel, my man Johnny, Jarrell Heslip, Denzel, brother, please get better. I appreciate you coming on. John Shear, Mike Caratanudo. It pains me that we have to continually have these conversations. It bothers me to no end that instead of doing what we all love to do, which is come on here and talk sports, we have to discuss this. But like I've always said, we don't just discuss what's on the court, on the field. Sometimes we peel back those layers. And that's exactly what we did tonight. So again, thank you to everyone. I'm going to post the picture of everyone from Buffalo and from Uvalde who has lost their lives. And I'm going to read this to end out here tonight. So thank you to everybody. The comments were hopping all night long. I appreciate everybody's thought and opinion. But I want to leave all of you with this. I sit here on my couch. A faint light shines off my lamp. It happened again. The 213th mass shooting of 2022. Families torn apart. Tears fell. The lack of sympathy from outside is saddening. The political grandstanding, deflecting is maddening. The excuses about mental health is vague and shallow. It is the only time we hear about it. The prayers don't help. Only the leadership of this country can. And every time this happens, it's just a reminder of our failure of this government.